afternoon. It's 12 at 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the afternoon news. Coming up, a reprieve for controversial evangelist Patricia Siedu, popularly known as Agrada, as Amasaman High Court significantly reduces her 15-year jail term to just 12 calendar months. We have more. Also, Attorney General Dr. Ayeni vows to prosecute all oral cases to the illogical conclusion as he denies suggestion that his office has been cutting deals with persons under oral investigations. Also this afternoon, the Minority Caucus in Parliament berates government and Cocoa Board over the failure to pay cocoa farmers some 10 billion cedis, demanding immediate payment and a stop to excuses. We have details of these and more in the next 30 minutes. Stay with us. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Let's begin the bulletin now. The Amasaman High Court has today reviewed downwards the 15-year sentence slapped on controversial evangelist Patricia Siedu, known popularly as Nana Agrada, to 12 months. Agrada was July slapped with a 15-year sentence in prison with hard labor after the court found her guilty of defrauding by false pretenses. But in a review of her sentence, the Amasaman court reduced, while upholding the conviction, reduced the length of time to be spent in prison to 12 months. According to the court, although the offense she committed warranted punishment, the severity of the initial sentence was disproportionate, hence the decision to review downwards. Let's quickly touch base with our course correspondent, Lord Edward Sari, on this decision. Lord, thank you for joining us. Talk to us. How did the court arrive at this decision?
Right, Grace. And so the High Court indicated that although it affirmed Agrada's conviction, which was given by the Accra Circuit Court, the sentence was quite disproportionate in that amount involved was 1,000 cedis that the former fetish priestess 10 evangelists defrauded the complainant. And so, although what she did was wrong and they affirmed the conviction, the sentence, which was 15 years, was a bit too harsh and on the high side for such issues that had been put on Agrada. And that was the reason why, in the end, the court had to reduce the 15-year sentence to essentially 12 months. And Grace, you know that as far as jail terms are concerned, the prison service do not use the same calendar months that we use. So 12 months, it could be 12 months, but in the jail term, it won't be exactly 12. So we are looking at her spending a little less than 12 months or a little less than a year as far as Agrada is concerned. Grace.
So does that mean that the question a lot of people are asking is that the number of months he has spent already in custody, does that count, or she's now going to begin?
So following the the appeal that was granted, is going to take effect from when the jail term started, and this was in July 2025. So they're going to calculate it from then. So the remaining months that she's supposed to serve is what the court is going to look at.
So it looks like she has between maybe 4 to 5 months more before she gets out of prison per this new appeal.
Indeed. Seeing that she's already been in prison custody
since July
of 2025.
Yeah. Let's talk about the reaction of the people who were in the courts as well as even around the court's premises, because even on talk about this sentence, the fact that it was 15 and now it's been reduced to just 12 calendar months.
Well, it was basically relief, especially from Agrada's court, as you know, her husband, he right from the onset, she wasn't pleased with how things panned out, and he had to hold the fort in her absence. And so there was sight of relief and, in fact, joy once the High Court indicated that the appeal has been granted and a sentence has been reduced. And so there's been a lot of joy and in the camp of Agrada. So we're expecting that, of course, perhaps on Sunday there's going to be a lot of testimonies in church about how their prayers have been answered and all that.
Right, Lord, thank you for talking to us. And definitely, I know that her church premises is going to be the center of attraction this Sunday, because the latest is that the Amasaman High Court has today reviewed downwards the 15-year sentence slapped on controversial evangelist Patricia Siedwa, also known as Nana Agrada, to 12 calendar months. Agrada was in July slapped with the 15-year sentence in prison with hard labor after the court found her guilty of defrauding by false pretenses. But in a review of her sentence, the Amasaman courts reduced, while upholding the conviction, reduced the length of time to be spent in prison to 12 months. According to the court, although the offense she committed warranted punishment, the severity of the initial sentence was disproportionate, hence the decision to review downwards. And our court correspondent, Lord Edward Sari, tells me that the time she spent in court in prison will be calculated from when the sentence was given. So from July last year till now, it means Nana Agrada has between 4 to 5 months, and then she will be out of prison. Well, we're working the phone to speak to a lawyer also on this, and whether it is normal for a 15-year sentence to be slashed to just a year. When we're able to connect with him, we'll bring you a lot more on this. But still staying on the law, though, the Attorney General and the Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has reiterated that his outfit is not cutting deals with any individual at the center of oral investigations. He assured the public that they have not entered into plea bargain with anyone, adding persons involved in the oral will be taken through the full process. He was speaking when when the Vice President, Professor Nana Agyemang Agyemang, paid a working visit to the ministry on Thursday. Let's connect with my colleague Evelyn Tengma, who is with the Vice President, to bring us more on this. Evelyn, what else has the Attorney General been saying? Hi, Evelyn, can you hear me? Evelyn, can you hear
Hello,
me?
Grace.
Yes.
Hello, Grace. I can hear you.
Right. So talk to us what the Attorney General has been saying.
Well, so the Attorney General earlier this morning has been speaking to the Vice President, and he is indicating that his outfit has been accused of cutting deals with some other individuals when it comes to the oral program, and that he wants to assure the public that nothing like that is going on or nothing like that has gone on. And so he's also saying that no plea bargaining is taking place, and assure the public that everyone involved in the process will be taken through the full process and will be dealt with. And aside the oral also, the AG has been mentioning that he is introducing a bill to cabinet, which is called the Criminal Proceeds Recovery Bill, and that this will help the ministry to get money to run some activities that the ministry needs. And so basically, this is what he spoke about concerning the oral.
We understand that the Vice President is visiting at that ministry, but before that, what has been the response of the Vice President to these words from the Attorney General?
Yeah, so the Vice President in response said basically that she had heard the concerns from the Minister for the Attorney General, and she's happy that he has cleared the air, because, I mean, people have been talking about the fact that some deals are being cut and all that, and so she's happy that the Minister has cleared the air and urged him to continue to communicate this and other matters to the public, so that they could have better understanding of the issue. Okay.
And we also know the Vice President is going to other ministries. Update us on that. What is these visiting expected to do for these ministries?
Right. So earlier, the Vice President went to the Ministry of Works and Housing, and here the Minister for Works and Housing, Gilbert Ajay, gave an overview of the ministry and its works. And he has oversight responsibility on works, water, and housing subsectors. So he explained matters concerning all these things, and he particularly mentioned that concerning the Akosobo Dam and spillage issue, 5 units of housing for the project for the victims have been done, and they are expecting 251 units 251 units are currently ongoing. And he added that some contractors are still moving to site to ensure that some 1,010 are also going on under phase 1. And this will be done before phase 2. And so the minister also gave overview of all that is happening in his ministry to the vice president. And currently the vice president is at the labor ministry, where the minister, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, is currently on the floor, also explaining the ministry's work and all that to the vice president, after which the vice president will also respond to his concerns. And so basically, he, in particular, is saying that there are some other agencies that have been taken away from the Ministry of Labor, talk about Senate and the APRM and others. And so he is not really happy about that, because he thinks that these are sectors that should be under the Labor Ministry, because workers are always agitating, always coming to him for concerning some of these issues, but the ministries are not under him. So he's appealing that if these agencies can be brought back to the Labor Ministry. Great.
Right, Evelyn, thank you for that succinct report. Evelyn Tengma, my colleague there, following the Vice President envoy, updating us on her visit so far. So this is the midday news on 3FM 92.7. Let me take you to Parliament, because the minority there is demanding an immediate payment of outstanding arrears owed cocoa farmers and a formal apology from the government. According to the minority, the government currently owes cocoa farmers close to 10 billion cedis, a situation they say is worsening the hardship faced by farmers across cocoa growing communities. Farmers who have confirmed the situation explain that payments for cocoa delivered several months ago, in fact from November, remain outstanding despite repeated assurances from the Ghana Cocoa Board. We'll be hearing from Isaac Yaopoku, who has been speaking on behalf of the minority on their call to government to pay the farmers their outstanding bills, and then quickly connect to my colleague in Parliament, Christian Yale, who is also sitting through that minority presser on what exactly the demands of the minority are and what they expect government to do. Initially, when we engaged the CEO of Cocoa Board, Dr. Randy Abe, he mentioned that government is looking at a new financing module, maybe return to the cocoa syndicated loan, and then look for some funds to settle the cocoa farmers, because one of the challenges they are also facing is the fact that Ghana's cocoa is now very expensive for the international market, and so they are not able to purchase or pay as they were doing initially. Christian Yale is joining us on the phone. Christian, talk to us what the demands of the minority has been, and even before that, a background to this presser before what their demands has been.
Yeah, so we know that at least from November 2025, cocoa farmers have lamented the non-payment for the supply of cocoa or the produce which they have supplied to the market. So ordinarily, you should have the licensed cocoa buying companies to pay the farmers, as it were. But that has not been done from November 2025. And so it has become an issue over the past 1 week. You, Grace, yourself have spoken with the cocoa farmers, the association, and how critical the situation has become. And so today, the minority on the Food, Agriculture, and Cocoa Affairs Committee, led by the ranking member, Isaac Yaopoku, addressed this matter. In fact, according to him, government currently owes cocoa farmers close to 10 billion cedis from November 2025. That is the figure he has given us. And he says, due to the arrears which have not been paid, it is worsening the plight of cocoa farmers across the country. He is unable to give us the exact figure of cocoa farmers who are affected by that, but he makes the case that there are quite a chunk or huge numbers of farmers who have been affected by this development. And so they are making a simple demand for government to immediately pay cocoa farmers. What they are saying as well is that there has been a number of excuses or some kind of justifications from the director of Cocoa Board, Randy Abe, and so they are asking him to cease making such excuses, because when they were in government, they managed to satisfy cocoa farmers. So despite the assurances that the NDC gave to cocoa farmers, they shouldn't turn around to begin to give what it tends to be irrelevant or excuses that are untenable.
Right, Crosby. So have they issued any form of ultimatum or anything of that sort?
Not really. What they are saying is that immediately, as soon as possible, from today, Cocoa Board should make funds available for payment to farmers. That is the direct demand they are making.
Right. Christian, thank you for the updates. Christian Yale, my colleague, updating us on that minority press are demanding for government to pay arrears of cocoa farmers who, as of November last year, have supplied cocoa to government for purchase but have not received their money. Let me take you back to that first story on the review or the appeal of Nana Agrade's sentence. It has been reviewed from 15 years to 12 calendar months. Let's speak to lawyer Braco Powers on what this means. Counsel, thank you for joining us. First off, you have followed this case. I mean, lots of people have expressed surprise at the High Court decision. Is this normal, from 15 years to what people say, just 12 calendar months?
Yes, let me say good afternoon to your listeners and those who are watching on social media. I think it's quite surprising, but it's not new, for a judge to have, or for a subsequent and appellate court, as it is, to reduce a sentence from 15 years to just 12 months. And the key question that people will be asking is that, is it really legal? And the answer is that imposition of jail time or years of imprisonment is discretionary. Just that the law has circumscribed the years that must be imposed. And in fact, looking at the charges, the basis of which Agrada was convicted and sentenced, he was charged with one count of charlatanic advertisement and 2 counts of defrauding by false pretenses. And with the charlatanic advertisement, the punishment is a fine. So it's a misdemeanor where the punishment is a fine. When you are convicted, the punishment is a fine. But with the 2 counts of defrauding by false pretenses, that is a serious offense. In fact, it's a serious offense. Defrauding by false pretense is a second-degree felony. And when you look at Section 296 of the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act 1960 Act 30, it provides that when a person is convicted for defrauding by false pretense, then the person is liable to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 25 years. So the trial court, which was the circuit court, it has had to decide to impose a 15-year jail term. So it's curious to reduce it to just 1 year, 1 calendar month. That is more like making mockery of because I think judges have discretion to impose jail term, but sometimes they must look at what the law says. They must take solely from the law. They must act within the legal framework. The law says it must not exceed 25 years. But when you come to 1 year, it means that you've gone beyond misdemeanor. And the offense, defrauding by false pretense, is not a misdemeanor. It's a second-degree felony. One of the serious crimes in the country. So I'm surprised, but I understand sometimes, appellate courts have the discretion to review, in fact, jail times, particularly when they feel that the offense, the punishment does not commensurate with the offense. But coming to 1 year, I think it's too absurd.
So, counsel, what can then come out of this case? Can the state say they're going to appeal? What are we to make out of the court's decision?
In fact, the state has an option, because the thing is that I have said that the law, when you look at particularly Section 2965 of Act 30, it is clear that such acts, including the second-degree felony, the position of the jail term must not exceed 25 years. So, and we know that misdemeanor is 3 years, up to 3 years. So if you reduce a serious offense such as defrauding by false pretense to 1 year, it means that you make mockery of the law. And the law is clear. So the state has an option to go to the Court of Appeal for a review of the decision. So they have to escalate the conversation. So even though the High Court, which has jurisdiction over such matters, when it comes to appeal on that level, the state also can escalate the conversation upwards so that they can review. But I think 1 year is who I've said, and the states must do something like that. Because the thing is that we must be able to impose sanctions that will discourage people from undertaking some of these actions.
Exactly, Council. I was going to come to that on how punitive this new sentence is going to be. Looking at the fact that defrauding by false pretense is a second felony and now it's being reviewed to just a year. How punitive? What message does it send across?
In fact, that I'm saying that the judge's decision, the Amasaman High Court judge's decision, has made mockery of the whole law. Because if we are saying this is a second degree felony, it means that it's a serious crime. And if you are imposing a jail term of 1 year, it means that you reduce it to the level of misdemeanor. And what it is telling people who are into that business is that when they conduct or when they misconduct themselves in that manner, they may have a favorable decision. And I think this is it's not. The decision has made a mockery of our criminal justice system. And it will encourage people to defraud others, thinking that they will get a lesser punishment rather than what the law has prescribed. And I think the state must be able to insist on the right thing being done in order to inject confidence into the system. Right.
Counsel, thank you for talking to us. You've been speaking with lawyer Bracco Powers, talking to us about that appeal of Nana Agrade's sentence and what it means to justice. Let's move on and do other stories and go to the Ketu South Municipality for the latest update on the phase 2 of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project. And President John Mahama in July 2025 cut short for the commencement of work on the project, which is expected to fully protect communities along the coastline suffering devastating tidal wave destructions. Correspondent Faisal Abdul-Idris, who was part of a tour of Volta MPs to the site this week, joins us with the latest on the progress of work. Faisal, it's been barely 6 months since President Mahama cut short for this project. What have you observed so far as the progress of work is concerned?
Grace, you recall that somewhere last week, the Ministry of Works and Housing indicated during that ministerial press briefing that 25% of work has been done already on the phase 2 of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project. On the 19th of July 2025, President John Dramani Mahama cut short for the project. And just a few weeks after the short cutting ceremony, work actually began on it. Today, as I speak to you, we're there with the Volta MPs who had gone there as part of their regional tour of all ongoing government projects. The MPs were impressed with what they have seen. Personally, I am impressed because for more than 4 years, I have consistently reported on the plight of the victims along the coastline who have been battered severely by the tidal wave incidents. And so what I have seen is a major progress from the day salt was cut for the project. More than 6 groins have been built already. Several borders have also been mounted along the stretch, which indicates that work is progressing steadily. Quite recently, somewhere last year actually, the Salakopora Amutin Basic School was at the verge of collapse because the project hasn't reached that side. Then when we reported on it, borders were mounted to protect the school. This week when we went, the Sea Defense Project has gone beyond that part of the community as well. And so personally, I have seen progress, and I want to say that what the ministry said, which is 25% from what I have seen, is basically what has happened so far. The MPs have been speaking on the progress of work. The Member of Parliament for Ketu South, Abdulaji Fagumashi, and the MP for Howest, Emmanuel Kwesi Beja, who doubles as the chairman for the Volta Caucus, have been speaking on this very progress of work. Let's have a listen.
The presumptions of me to just use my layman's eye to say it is 10% or 25% and then start arguing with what the minister has said. All I can say is that I'm so happy to see them on site. I have seen the work that they have done. Saving the school has been the problem, but I'm glad that they've put boulders around it. So what is left of the school is there. My expectation is that the work is done speedily. so that we see what can be done with the community.
Technically, they've done a lot. If you look at the drawings that have been done so far and the protection, you could see that the sea will not go to the other side. I am really, you realize I wasn't talking because 5 years ago when we came, there were houses here, but now you don't even find anything. I remember some time ago we came in a classroom there. People were living in that classroom because the houses were washed away. Today, you see that we are reclaiming the land. And so I'm grateful to His Excellency the President. My sister, who has been crying all the time, the question she asked in Parliament has been her sea defense. Life will return to this place. Initially, we were thinking of alternative livelihood. And the alternative livelihood is that when they return, they'll have a fish market, they'll have a landing beach, they'll have a place where they can trade. There'll be a cold store here. And that's the promise of John Mahama, and he will surely deliver.
Right, Faisal, we've listened to the MP, the two MPs. What more do we know?
Yeah, so the other facilities that are to be built to bring back livelihood support and revive these communities, talk of the bus station, that is the bus terminal, the landing beach, I am told it should be at least 2, and also a fish market to revive economic activities in the area. At a point, we're told the Assembly was struggling to provide space for these facilities to be built. The MCE for the area during the visit indicated to us that they have also made some breakthrough on this and will be providing the contractors, that is Amandi Construction Limited, the space to concurrently undertake these projects. Let's have a listen to the MC for Ketusa on this one.
Right, Faisal, we will bring our listening that audio subsequently, but thank you for bringing us those updates. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, my colleague in the Volta region, on updates on the construction of the Blekusu Sea Defense. Let's go to the Ashanti region. Some good news coming from there, and government has reclaimed more than 300 hectares of degraded land destroyed by illegal mining at Nyankumase in the Manso Edubia districts of the Ashanti region. The reclamation exercise comes at a significant cost, with each hectare requiring at least $48,000 to restore. Sector Minister Emmanuel Amakofibo says the financial burden of land reclamation is enormous and cannot be sustained by government alone, stressing the need for strong private sector involvement to support ongoing restoration efforts. William Evansinku has more in this report.
A safe environment is a habitat for all, even the ants. The cattle are back to graze in the field, but it was once a degraded land, vegetation ripped and forest cover dissipated by illegal miners.
So not only did we do draining, we also did what we call amphibious dredging, where we had to bring special machines to take the water out, then introduce new type of soil to the land. Because if we were going to use the same land that we did a backfill on, it was never going to support it because the land itself was toxic, the turbidity level was higher, so we had no option but to bring in foreign land. That makes it very expensive.
The new phase of over 300 hectares of land at Nyankumase. Pensive as the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources is shown pictures of the level of degradation before restoration.
This is 340 or 320 hectares. If you calculate the manholes, pumping the water, bringing soil, this is about $48,000 per hectare. I mean, to think about the fact that as we speak, almost close to 7,500 or more football fields had to be reclaimed. And if you look at the cost, it's very, very clear that government's budget cannot do this work.
First part of last year, if you notice, we were focused on driving the illegal miners out of the forest, the river bodies, and especially by the roadside. Later part of last year, we decided that whatever it takes to restore the lands, we need to do that.
In 2025, government through a Tree for Life initiative planted approximately 28,000 out of a targeted 30,000 seedlings to recover degraded lands. Government intends to do more to reclaim mined-out degraded land in parts of the country.
God must be smiling, a biblical phrase the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources used to describe the current situation. Restoration, reclamation, and restoring the fertility of the land is what the government through Newmont has done. And this is what, according to the minister, we are going to see over the years. All degraded lands will be restored and will be used in a way that will benefit humanity. From Manswe Dubia, I'm William Evans Inkum.
William Evans Inkum on that report, bringing the midday news to an end on 3FM 92.7. Many thanks for joining us. Log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. For those of you who join us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, thank you for joining us. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Michael Ogbedu is standing by to bring us the latest in the world of business. Good afternoon.
And hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Construction Chamber says contractors yet to receive outstanding payments despite directive from the President.
I just want 11 days.
And Sustainable Energy SEMSE calls for revocation of licenses for OMCs diverting premix fuel.
Is to ensure that any OMC observed with evidence that they are engaged in this diversion must not have their license in operation. I think their license should be revoked.
Plus, Ghana welcomes one-year extension of U.S. trade deal AGOA, indicating it provides a crucial window for exporters to protect jobs, maintain market access, and stabilize production. I am Michael Obodu. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying straight into our top story. And the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry is calling on the President to ensure that outstanding payments owed to contractors are released without further delay. The appeal comes despite a presidential directive for funds to be paid into the road funds to settle contractors' arrears ahead of the Yuletide season. The newly inducted chairman of the chamber, Nana Opare Kwafo I, says the funds have yet to be released, a situation he warns is hurting contractors across the sector. He was speaking at the chamber's handing over ceremony and the inauguration of its governing council and standing committees.
My appeal, first of all, to President is the immediate one. Somewhere in December 23rd, he instructed and payment was effected into the Ghana Road Fund account. I just want him to know today, over 1 month, 11 days, that money hasn't reached contractors. I repeat, we haven't received that money. I applaud the president for his swift intervention. As he quoted during that time, he says he wants contractors to go and spend at least Christmas. Christmas has come to pass, yet we haven't got that money. Mr. President, you have honored your part, but I'm sure somehow, somewhere, there is a standing block. You have the powers. Come in and see the release of that money to contractors.
So that was Nana Oparikwa for the first. He's the newly inducted chairman of the Chamber of Construction Industry speaking. Now, the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSE, has issued a stern call to the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, to take decisive action against oil marketing companies involved in the illegal diversion of premixed fuel. The policy think tank is urging the regulator to either revoke or refuse the renewal of licenses for any company found channeling fuel intended for the fishing industry into the vehicular retail market.
Some OMCs in the petroleum downstream, the MPA as well as the GRA must also put certain creative measures to ensure that none of these products are diverted from the origin to the destination, because in as much as the concern of the OSP is about tax evasions or subsidies making from government, I think that from the consumer perspective, it also destroys a lot of vehicles, causing damage to most vehicles, because premixed fuel are not meant for vehicular use. They are marine oil meant for outboard motors and other marine transport, but to bring them onto the vehicular market damages a lot of vehicles. And I think that MPA must put in measures to address this particular fuel diversion once and for all. It is a major concern because Ghana loses about 50 million annually as a result of these diversions, and these benefit these OMCs. I think the other part we must also do is to ensure that any OMC observed with evidence that they are engaged in this diversion must not have their license in operation. I think their license should be revoked to serve as a deterrent.
And that was Benjamin Nsia. He's the executive director for the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSE. Now, the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry has welcomed the United States government's decision to extend the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, by 1 year, describing it as vital relief for exporters and a key safeguard for jobs. The extension, signed by the U.S. administration on Tuesday, February 3, is expected to benefit key sectors, including garments, agro-processing, cocoa, derivatives, and light manufacturing.
Ghana's Minister of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjei, says the 1 year extension of African Growth and Opportunity Act will help protect thousands of jobs and stabilize exports to the United States. According to the minister, the decision reinforces Ghana's position as a reliable trading partner at a time when U.S. tariffs have created uncertainty for exporters. The extension follows months of engagement with U.S. counterparts after the introduction of 10% universal tariff on imports in April last year and an additional 15% tariff on Ghanaian exports in August. Those measures had raised concerns about Ghana's competitiveness, particularly for products that traditionally enjoy duty-free access under the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Enacted in 2000, African Growth and Opportunity Act grants eligible African countries duty-free access to the U.S. market and remained a cornerstone of U.S.-Africa trade. As of the end of 2024, 32 African countries were eligible under the program. The Trade Ministry says The 1-year extension provides a crucial window for exporters to protect jobs, maintain market access, and stabilize production. Exporters have been urged to take advantage of accelerated export development programs as Ghana navigates a changing global trade environment.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report, and that's how we end today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please stay safe.